I'm Brandon Shuman, the Dean of Arts and Humanities at Midland Classical Academy's Upper School. So in this video series, we've looked at a number of things. We've looked at what the role of a parent is. We've looked at what classical education is, and we've also looked at the important role of Christian discipleship, and that's really what our core identity is. But in this video, I'd like to pull back and look at MCA specifically, and look at what our cultural blueprint is. So within our cultural blueprint, you can think of it kind of as a temple where you've got the roof, which is our vision, the foundation, which is our values, and then the pillars of the temple, which is our strategy. And so I'd like to just talk through what our cultural blueprint is in this video to help you kind of connect some of the dots of why we do these quirky things in the pursuit of the good life and in cultivating virtue and trying to become more like Jesus. And so that's really what we're going to go after in this video. So I'd like to start with the vision, and it's something that I think you're all familiar with, at least I hope you're all familiar with, and that's the MCA's tagline of engaging minds, pursuing Christ, discovering greatness. So everything that we do as a school is aimed towards accomplishing those goals. That's what our there is. That's what we're striving towards. Now, they're aspirational goals. They're never things that we will fully attain. We're never going to be like, we've caught Jesus and we're with him. But they're things that we're striving towards. Engaging our minds, pursuing Christ, discovering greatness. Engaging minds, I think, kind of speaks to what we are as a school of trying to learn to think and to think about big questions in life. And to consider what it is that the subject before us, whether it's math or whether it's trying to run a play in a basketball game, we want to think. We don't want to just kind of go through the motions, but really ask big questions and seek truth and be engaged with our minds as we're thinking through those things. The second part of that, I think, is the most critical. It's pursuing Christ. Jesus is the reason that we exist. He's the reason that you choose to send your kids here. He's the reason that he's the person that we're trying to emulate and become. He is our perfect example. And we are seeking to follow him in all of the things that we do as a school and as individuals who make up this school. And then this third part, discovering greatness. Greatness can be kind of a vague term in today's society. And we want to be great in a lot of the ways that the world defines great. We want to have good grades. We want to win championships. We want to produce great work. We want to accomplish great things in this life. God made us to be great, and he gave each person an aspiration to be great. But we don't merely want to define greatness as the world does with gold medals or 4.0 GPAs. We want to understand greatness from how God says what is great and how the Bible defines great. And Jesus defined greatness as the greatest among you will be the servant of all. And so greatness, as Jesus understood it, and therefore as we should understand it, is by serving other people. That is where true greatness is found, in giving yourself to another who has no real way of paying you back. And so everything we do as a school is aimed towards those visions. And before we get into some of our values and the strategy, if you're ever kind of wondering, why am I doing this? See how it connects to one of those visions of engaging minds, pursuing Christ, discovering greatness. It should be able, everything we do at the school should connect to all three of those. And if you can't see how it connects, that thing that you're doing connects to one of those three things, then you've lost your vision of what it is that we're about. And we all do that from time to time. And that's what the purpose of these videos is for, is to help remind us to what it is that we're after as we lose our way to be, oh yes, this is what it is that I'm supposed to be about, or encouraging my kids to pursue. Now, the vision is what we're working towards. Our core values, which is the foundation, is what we're working from. And MCA has 5, at least at the upper school, we have 5 core values that we're operating from as we're launching towards our vision. And so just as everything that we do is aimed towards one of those 3 things of engaging minds, pursuing Christ, discovering greatness, everything we do is done with these values, done in the strength of these values. And these 5 core values that MCA has are truth, freedom, self-governance, love, and discipleship. And so talking about truth, God's word is what's true. This word is absolutely true, and this is the standard for how we understand reality in the world. And so that's our foundation. That's our core thought of what truth is. But even within that context, we want to be truthful with others. We want to share current reality and hold each other accountable to trying to strive for those visions of engaging minds, pursuing Christ, discovering greatness. And so in the grade book, when we post the grade book through facts, what we're trying to give you, parents, is truth and saying, here's what current reality is with your students in alignment with their grades. We try to talk to our students through our participation or contribution grades and sharing with them truth of what it is that they're doing, how they can do better, where they measured up to that standard, and giving the feedback that they need. We want to be honest in our relationships and have integrity within those things. And so truth is a very, very much a core value of what MCA is about and what we operate from. But we're not just all about truth by itself. We also want to give freedom. And this value of freedom is we want to give people the ability to make their own choices. God created people to be free and to be able to make choices, and we want to respect that and honor that freedom of being made in God's image that He gave to everyone, and to allow them the freedom to make the choices that they want to make. That doesn't mean that we're going to make them free from the consequences of their choices, but we want to give them reality and tell them the truth of, if you make this choice, here's what the outcome is likely to be, and if you make that choice, here's what the outcome is likely to be. But you are free to choose for yourself. And so as seventh graders, when seventh graders come to the upper school, we give them a great deal of freedom where they get to decide what they want to do in their free time or their off time between classes. And so we give them a lot of freedom within that. Freedom corresponds, it's one side of the coin, to our third value of self-governance. And if freedom's the ability to make choices, self-governance is the ability to make wise choices. We want our students to grow up learning how to be self-governing, learning how to make wise choices. And that's why another reason why we have freedom, because if we never let our students make any choices at all, they would not have the opportunity to learn how to make wise choices. And so when students and seventh graders or eighth graders make poor choices, which they tend to do, that gives us a teachable moment or an opportunity to come and ask them, what was the outcome of that choice? Was it what you wanted? Did it produce the desired result that you wanted? And they can often recognize, no, it didn't. And then we can say, what would be a better choice? Well, doing this other thing instead. And then they say, well, we agree with that. Why don't you do that next time? And so what we're trying to do by giving students so much freedom within a context of truth and love is giving them the ability to become self-governing for themselves. So that way, by the time they're seniors, they can help lead a class and grade assignments and basically give them the keys to the school and help them carry a great deal of responsibility. This fourth value is also critical to what we're about as a classical Christian school, and it's the value of love, which is respecting other people, and not just respecting them, but seeking to seek their best in all circumstances with patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control, and all the fruits of the Spirit and those things. And so love is really where we get to serve other people, and that's where we are able to discover that greatness, is by seeking their best, not seeking our own best, or not only considering our own interest, but also seeking the interest of others. And so love is the greatest commandment, and I think it's the greatest of our values. But without the truth and freedom, you really lose the opportunity for love. And then this fifth value is kind of one that binds or describes all of those together, and that's discipleship. We are a discipleship organization in the form of a school. And so we are about the Great Commission. We're trying to disciple one another as staff, as parents, as students, trying to disciple each other to encourage each other to become more like Jesus in all that we do. And so that's what our vision is engaging minds, pursuing Christ, discovering greatness. That's what we're headed for. And then we're operating from these values of truth, freedom, self-governance, love, and discipleship. But we've got some strategies in how we get there. And the 5 strategies that we mostly operate within are classical education, Christian discipleship, servant leadership opportunities, the Freedom V model, and supporting families. And so we've talked a lot about what classical education is in earlier videos, but just kind of reiterating some of those things is that we're about an active learning environment. We are about the three liberal arts of the trivium, of grammar, logic, and rhetoric, or the stages of learning. We're about trying to participate within the great conversation. And so we kind of have this classical heritage. That's a big part of our identity and a key strategy that we have. But also, as we talked about, that classical education is good, but the gospel is eternally good. We're ultimately about Christian discipleship with our strategies. We're operating from that biblical worldview. We're seeking to integrate the gospel in everything that we do, whether it's a math class or a cross-country practice or robotics. We're trying to integrate the gospel and letting that be a part of how we do life. And as tutors, as coaches, as administrators, we're largely here to be role models and exemplars of what Jesus looks like in a school setting and as adults, to give our students something to look for and to become more like as they go through their time at MCA. Another strategy that we've got is servant leadership opportunities, whether that's through RT groups of giving juniors and seniors the opportunity to lead 7th, 8th, and 9th and 10th graders, but investing in them, taking them to lunch, and providing a place of belonging for them and incorporating them into the MCA family. The senior project, where seniors get to lead classes and help out in teaching classes at the upper school. And then through all sorts of extracurriculars, of whether that's being captains on basketball teams or baseball teams or leading a robotics team. Through all sorts of extracurricular opportunities, there's leadership opportunities to grow in leadership and to become leaders through serving others and through serving the team in that capacity. The Freedom V model is our fourth big strategy. We've got an open campus with an open schedule. That's one of the things that is probably the most weird about MCA, is that students have a lot of free time on their hands and at the upper school, and there's no one telling them here's what you have to do or where you have to be when they're not in class. And so students get to make lots of choices. They get a lot of opportunity to exercise that freedom. And the most important class that students take at MCA is not what they take formally in a classroom, whether it's science or history, but it is how they learn to manage their free time, how they learn to manage their schedule and to take on the responsibilities that they've been given in class and in life, and handling those things. Also, with that Freedom V model is the kind of the principle of revisions, where students can revise an assignment and make up and reclaim some of the points they lost when they didn't learn the material fully the first time. And also with that Freedom V model is an intense focus on character and virtue. Again, that's the thing that we're after. It's not grades, it's not winning championships and hanging banners. All of those things are good, but the real thing that we're about is sharpening our character and becoming more like Christ. And the fifth and final big strategy that MCA uses is by partnering with parents and supporting our families. The tutor-parent relationship is one of the most important relationships that we have at school. And so as parents, if you have questions about how your student's doing in a particular class, or you're wondering, you don't need to wonder. Pick up the phone, send an email, shoot a text, ask the tutor what's going on in your son's or daughter's class, so that we can help you have the information you need to better parent and guide your child through the challenges that they're facing. We also offer kind of the parent mentor groups, where you have parents that have gone before you, that are in the journey with you, but maybe a little ahead of the journey and know what life's like around the bend, and just kind of giving practical advice and wisdom and encouragement along the way. And then finally, we have these classical enhancement nights, where you can come to the school and learn more about what MCA offers and how to best leverage all of the quirks of classical education, so that you can raise up your children in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And so that's the cultural blueprint of MCA. And so that's what MCA looks like in an abstract form. But hopefully this final video kind of provides some context of, or maybe some explanation, or maybe it teases some explanation is probably a better way of saying it, of why we do the things that we do at MCA. And I just want to encourage you, Mom and Dad, that just as you go through the long year at the school and maybe lose sight of the vision and wonder, why do we do things this way? It's so inefficient. Just to recall back to saying, okay, what is the real there that we're after? It's cultivating virtue. It's becoming more like Jesus. And discipleship is never an efficient process. But a lot of the things that we do at MCA is really efficient towards that end. If the ultimate goal was just simply good grades, or an 85 or a 93 or whatever the grade is, that's all well and good. But we're going for something much higher, and that's why the things that we do may look unorthodox. And the reason why is because we have a much higher and much more eternal ambition.